Okay, so I'm gonna do a little video explanation of artwork, kind of like an artwork or a design one-on-one type of thing, explaining the differences between pixel-based versus vector-based versus resolution, all of that stuff, to try to help some people that aren't familiar with graphics or design stuff, and to try to see if we can get you guys a little education here kind of thing. So anyways, I'm in Photoshop. Photoshop is a pixel-based software. If I'm going to use Photoshop or if I'm going to use Canva or something like that, those are basically a bunch of dots, a bunch of squares that you are building your design with. Illustrator, Inkscape, I don't know, maybe Corel Draw, I'm not real sure, is vector based to where it creates artwork with 100% line, meaning that whatever you create with it, it is crystal clear, and you could blow that up all the way to 1,000 feet if you want to, and it will not change in resolution. Pixel based is once it is set, if you set your document size at 12 inches at 300 dpi dots per inch, it is going to stay good quality at 12 inches or less. You can go down with it and it will stay, it'll maintain high quality, but as soon as you go above 12 inches, it's going to stretch the pixels out and it's going to blur it. It's going to make it a nasty piece of artwork. So for instance, if you are at 4 inches and you're at 300 dpi, when you blow that 4 inches up to 8 inches, that 300 dpi is now 150 dpi. So you have distorted that by half. So anyways, I'll jump into this here, Photoshop, if you're using it, kind of just show you how to set up your document so that if you are wanting to create your artwork in pixel based, this is the proper way to do it. So, and then I'll walk through a Canva, then I'll walk through Inkscape and try to do a little explanation there. So anyways, here we go. In Photoshop, when we're going to create our document, we're going to make sure that this resolution is at 300 dpi. I'll set up for t-shirt artwork. So let's just say the max size I might want to do is 13 inches wide for a big guy, like a 3x, 4x type of thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and do like a 14 inch by 20 inch. And you can see it's at 300 resolution. That means it's basically perfect as far as pixels go. So if I were to want to design a banner is, let's say, 6 foot wide by 3 foot tall. So we're at 72 by 36 inches. You would do that in 300 resolution. So anyways, here we go. We're going to create it. I do want white just for fun, just to make it nice and clean. So here's basically what we would consider a t-shirt. You know, you can kind of guess in between like your collar or in between your shoulder blades, I guess, if you will. 14 inches is kind of a ballpark in between the shoulder blades. So if I'm going to, let's just bring up the text and I'm going to write design. Okay, that design is roughly at 14 inches. When I go to save this, let's just say I'm done. That's all I want to do. I'm not going to fill this up. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of the background because you do not want a background on your design. And then I'm going to save it as a PNG, put it wherever you want to put it, but save it as a PNG. Now, if I'm going to open this up anywhere in Canva, if I'm going to open up in a DTF builder, the gang sheet builder, it's going to come up as almost 14 inches and it's going to come up as 300 dpi. So that's perfect. Now from there, if I want, I can resize this and I could go down in the builder or I can go down in Canva, wherever I want to take it down to. If I want to take it down to a pocket size logo, whatever, it's going to maintain its 300 DPI. Okay, now let's reverse it. Let's say I start fresh. We just started a new document and I bring it down to the pocket size, and I could center this just for fun. I bring it down to the pocket size and then I save it as PNG, whatever. Okay, now this here is saved at 4 inches. But as soon as I save this at 4 inches and I bring it into the builder, in fact, here, I'll show you just for fun. I'm going to save it as, let's do test. It's at, let's say, I don't even really know what the size is, but, well, it's 3.88. That's good enough. I save it as that test at 3.88. Now, just because this entire thing is huge, it's not going to take all this. So if I bring up the builder and I start a new design, or if I'm in Canva, whatever. Now let's say I open this up and it didn't bring in your overall document space. So the only thing it brought in was the design itself at 300 DPI, whatever size it was saved at. So right here you got this black around the design. It means that it's terrible resolution. So in other words, if I'm at 3.88 inches at perfect resolution and I decide all of a sudden that I want to blow this up to be an adult size, let's just say 12 inches, that's going to make this about 4 times bigger. So let's make it 4 times bigger. Now, as you can see, the resolution on it has cut by 4 times, meaning you got guides here that show the resolution and it's showing terrible. So if you cut that 300 and you divide that by 4, that's pretty much where your resolution is at now. So that's no good. You just stretched the pixels to try to make it work. If you want this design at 12 inches, you'd have to go back to Photoshop and enlarge it to your 12 inches and then save it there. That way you can go down and do your pocket size if you wanted to later. Okay, so next let's talk about designing in Canva. If you are using Canva, make sure, again, you're doing your template based on what you're trying to design. If you're going to design a banner, you would find a banner template. If you're going to design a t-shirt, you're going to find a t-shirt template. So here's the t-shirt. And that means that anything that you bring up on the t-shirt is going to be 14 by 18. Theirs is 14 by 18, which is perfectly fine. It's kind of just, this is where you want to be if you're going to design something for a t-shirt. If you design something in a template for like Facebook, or a template for logo, or a template for an Instagram reel, whatever, those sizes are all completely different and they're void for t-shirts. And the reason why is because their sizing resolution, or their sizing, is all pretty small. It's meant to go on like a computer screen or something, not blowing it up onto a banner. So let's say here, I'm going to design something and I'm going to use, let's just say I'm going to use add heading. Let's turn this color to white so we can see it. And then you got to think, is that white that I just clicked on, is that the true white? No, it's not. That was just a lookalike. So here, FF, that's all the way. That's true white. 0, 0, 0, 0 all the way across the board. That's true black. So if I'm going to design something on a t-shirt, I want to kind of make it as big as possible. I mean, you kind of can gauge it based on what you think you're going to do. But just in case you're ever getting a 3X, 4X, and you're wanting that design to be bigger, you might as well just start the whole thing big. That way, wherever you bring it up, you can size it down to whatever. So just make sure that the whole thing is big. So I just got done designing and I'm going to go ahead and save this. When I go ahead and save this, right here is pixels. I want to slide that all the way up because that's going to give me like the highest quality available. And then I'm going to hit transparent background and then I'm going to hit download. So I saved this. Okay, that's going to be great. If I go to bring that up, somebody's software, a gang sheet software or whatever, it's going to be perfect. Okay. But again, if I start with this thing being, a pocket size and I save it, even if I blow the pixel size all the way up, you're still at that 300 DPI, which is great. And I save it. I go to bring this up and somewhere else, it's locked in at that 4 inches or 3 point whatever inches. It's locked in with great quality. If I go down, I can do that and it would be perfect. But since it's locked in, if I go to make this bigger, wherever I bring it into, if I make this bigger, I cut my quality in half or more. So it distorts it. What it is, when you think pixels are dots. It's a bunch of dots. If you think like halftones, like the old newspapers, most images were made with halftone or a bunch of dots. When you've got a bunch of dots that are like this and you blow it up, it's stretching them dots out. So, which means it's no longer great quality. Okay, here's another thing, an issue with Canva. If you bring in, let's say you go to the elements and you want to look for, let's just say a horse, and you're doing it for graphics. Let's just say we bring this graphic in. Okay, you see here that when I brought this graphic in, when I brought this graphic in, when I brought this graphic in, they were different. Let me show you something. When you click on this, first of all, Canva is subcontracted with a bunch of people that upload their artwork into Canva to allow Canva to use that person's elements and or to help Canva build a library. So if they didn't set that artwork up correctly, just like I showed in Photoshop, whenever they bring it into Canva, you're going to use the quality of however that person set up their artwork. So just like you see here, when I pull this up, this here is small, which means that if, oh, well, I think that's small, I want to make it bigger, and I go to save that, technically the design that you just blew up, you're hoping that that was a vector-based design. And a vector means you can blow it up infinitely without losing quality. So if this was a PNG that this designer uploaded into Canva's database, they uploaded it, let's say they saved it on their computer at, what we at, 5.5 inches at 300 DPI, it's great at 5.5 inches or whatever. But now if I want to blow it up, now we're at 10.5, I just cut that PNG's quality in half. So just because we're using Canva here, it helps us, but it's not a dummy-proof site to use and to design things on. We're banking on the quality of this person's artwork to be vector-based if we're going to blow that up. And if it's not, then it hurts my quality's end result. So you see this is this size. Check this out. When I went down to, where was the frog at? I seen a frog a little bit ago. I think that was like one of them recommended things. So anyways, if I keep going through these, eventually, like I just showed here, pops up a much bigger version. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of these just to explain this. Okay, this is a much bigger version. Taking for granted that whoever uploaded this into the software or the gallery for Canva, whoever uploaded this vector format or uploaded it in 300 DPI right here, we don't have to stretch it up because it's already big, it's nice. Which means that whatever I use here and I go to download it, it's gonna come up in whatever program I'm using perfectly, as long as the beginning point, the foundation was set, at 300 DPI. So those are massive fluctuations in our end result, which means like we would really have to pay attention to making sure that if we're using Canva, that the quality is there. And sometimes, let's go back to that small horse. If you want to test this one, you can blow it up, because it very well could be. I'm not thinking that this is vector because you don't see the colors popping up here. Usually in Canva, if it's a vector-based artwork, that somebody uploaded for us to use, this is going to show colors up here. So because it's not, I'm guessing that this is a PNG. So if I want to zoom in, I can try to. It's looking fairly good, but that doesn't mean that it actually is. We're just going to take it for what we see. And I like this, so I'm going to use this. That doesn't mean that every one of them are going to be like that. But let's see if we can find a piece of artwork that was uploaded in vector. Okay, so most of these are looking to be in PNG format. Okay, like let's look at this. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of all these just so we have no confusion. This here is a vector piece of artwork that somebody uploaded into Canva. The way that you could tell it's a vector is you can actually click on a color and you can change it. You can change its color. Vector-based is editable by the other person. So if I create a vector myself outside of Canva in Photoshop, Illustrator, not Photoshop, scratch that because that's pixel-based. Inkscape is a free program, vector-based. If I can save that vector as a vector file, and whoever gets that file on the other end, if I'm sending it off to somebody, if I'm uploading it into something, the other person is able to actually open up that file and they can say, you know, okay, this color here, I would like to change. They can grab that color, they could click on a color, and they can change that color. Vector-based, you can take this thing all the way up to 100 feet, 1,000 feet, 1,000,000 feet, maybe. I don't know that you would ever get that big, but I'm just stating. Okay, now here's another thing. I'm going to show you a different program. This here is Inkscape. It is a free software. I'm waiting on it to load. Okay, so here's Inkscape. I'm going to show you the big difference. Okay, let's do design here, just like I did the other one. I know the font's not the same, but the idea is the same. Okay, you can see here, it's at 7 inches. It's, you know, let's go up to 20 inches, all the way up to 100 inches, whatever. I want to show you something. When you zoom in on this, you can see the line. Look, that is like absolutely there. Like there is a hard edge. There is no distortion. There is no blocks. There is no dots. There is no capability of messing this up. There is no capability. Okay, let's go back to Photoshop and look at the same thing. And I'm going to zoom in on it. Even though it's at 300 dpi and it's big, this is still a pixel-based image. It's not a vector-based, which means that the way that this design is created is with rectangles or squares or dots. When you zoom in on this, you're going to see a fuzzy edge. Let's zoom in on it and check it out. There's a spot. Okay, let's go. I think what it is because of the contrast, it's looking a lot better. Let's do the background. Here, let's just do red in the design. We'll change that to red. Okay, there you go. That's better. Okay, see, you can see here that it's got a fuzzy edge. It's very, like the fuzzy edge on this, though, because it's high resolution, it's not a fuzzy edge that's going to mess you up. See the same thing if I go here back to this and I turn this red, you know, I could turn this one red and this one will not have a fuzzy edge at all. You don't get a fuzzy edge on this. So that's something to keep in mind if you're designing stuff by scratch, which direction you want to go. If you are going to create something for somebody that is going to be used differently, you send off that file to somebody and that customer is going to use that file for a t-shirt. They're going to use that file for stickers, decals on their car, or they're going to blow it all the way up for a wrap. You're going to want to create that design in vector based because it's infinite. It can blow up to whatever. If you know that design is pretty much just a t-shirt design, you know, you might go a little bigger, sometimes to a banner, whatever, then you could definitely get away with the pixel-based programs because it's not going to go that big. If I'm going to design a banner in this pixel-based program, Photoshop, I would start with the document sized for that banner. That's all. So that's pretty much it. I mean, as far as kind of the foundationals go from there, and you could build your building blocks off of that. You just really got to pay attention to the artwork that you're grabbing. If somebody sends you a piece of artwork and, you know, a landscaping company sends you a piece of artwork and they state in the artwork that it's high resolution, that it's this and that, you're going to need to test it, because if you can catch that right off the bat, figuring out if it is high resolution, high quality, if you can figure out that it's not, then you have something to fall back on to the customer to say, hey, I know, you know, that you're stating that it's high resolution, but it's not, and this is how I can tell. Can you provide a high resolution file? If you can't, I would like to help you clean that up so that you have a usable piece of artwork. And, you know, you'd have to just charge them a service fee for that cleanup, what have you. But that's pretty much the basics. So hopefully that brings some value to you guys, and we can talk about something on the next one. Peace.